The historical mission of monuments at Tamsui, Taiwan.
You shared with me a lot of information about the history of Tamsui's historical sites. Well, today we will talk about the stories behind these places and their significance. Let's start with Fort San Domingo, the most prominent target in Tamsui. This place has seen a lot of history. The Spanish first built Fort San Domingo in the 17th century. Then the Dutch came and built the current Fort San Domingo. Then in the 19th century, the British rented it as a consulate.
That's right, it has always been the core of Putin Hill. The geographical location is very good, right next to the river mouth. So you can see that different regimes want to control this place. In the information you provided, there is a concept that I think is quite critical, called regional preservation.
Regional preservation?
Yes, and it also needs to be viewed from the perspective of the landscape structure. That is to say, it is not just about whether a house is beautiful or old. Instead, it needs to be viewed in relation to the mountains next to it, the Tamsui River, and the entire environment. Just think about it, if Fort San Domingo is still there, but there are tall buildings all around.
Oh. That feeling is totally wrong.
Right, the view and the sense of strategic location are gone. This is the overall feeling of the landscape structure.
Understand, it is a relatively large pattern. In addition to Fort San Domingo, Dr. Macay's influence in Tamsui can be seen everywhere.
Yes, Dr. Macay.
From the earliest Macay Hospital and Oxford College, to Tamkong High School and the church later. His contribution to Tamsui is really great.
Very profound, but the data also points out a more troublesome situation. That is, the management units of these monuments or places related to him are different. For example, Tamkong High School is still a school after all. Schools have classes and there are campus safety issues. So ordinary tourists can't just go in and visit. In this case, if you want to take a trip to Dr. Macay's Tamsui footprints, that story. It will be intermittent, which is a bit regrettable.
That's true. When it comes to preservation materials, there are also references to those left over from the Japanese era, and those that are more related to ordinary people's lives. For example, the former residence of the painter Kinoshita Jogai, I heard that it records a period of Tamsui art.
Yes, it seems that there are quite a lot of restoration processes for Kinoshita Jogai's former residence.
Oh, yes, this shows that it is really not easy to maintain such old houses. There are also the old street feeling of the Reconstruction Street, and the Fuyo Temple is very popular.
Yes. Reconstruction Street is very interesting.
These are the memories of ordinary people's lives, but they also highlight that preservation and development are often a bit conflicting.
Yes.
There is a term in the data called Cultural Asset Sensitivity Map.
Cultural Asset Sensitivity Map, what is that?
The idea is that we first mark out places where ancient books or historical buildings are likely to be purchased.
Oh, pre-marking.
Yes, then if we want to develop something in the future, everyone will know that this place should be especially careful. Maybe there are things underneath or it may affect the old houses next to it. We need to evaluate it carefully. We are trying to find a more scientific way to guide the development.
It sounds like a balanced method, because after the MRT was opened, there are really more people in Tamsui. The old street of Zhongjing Road seems to have gradually disappeared.
Yes, it is a big impact.
This also makes us see that the role of people is really important. The information mentions many local groups, such as the Tamsui Community Studio and the Tamsui Cultural Foundation.
Yes, there are also many cultural and historical workers, artists, and masters.
Yes, there are also big worship activities like the Qingshui Zushi Procession Festival.
These people and activities are the key to making Tamsui more than just a bunch of old houses. This brings us to another concept called living heritage.
Living heritage, it sounds very interesting.
Yes, the key is not where to place the monuments, but to think about how to connect them with our current lives.
How to connect?
For example, through educational activities, more people can get to know him, encourage community residents to participate, and even inspire some new ideas.
As mentioned in the information, the Fort San Domingo held a tipsy night before, and held an electronic music beer party in the historic site.
Hey, yes, this may be weird to some people.
It seems to be a bit out of tune.
It is a bit out of tune, and there may be controversy, but this is an attempt to make the historic site not just quietly there for people to see. Instead, it can be turned into a venue for activities to interact with young people and see if some new sparks can be created. The goal is to let everyone know and experience the story of Tamsui in a more diverse and lively way.
After listening to the information you shared, we can see that Tamsui's monuments are really not just old buildings.
Yes, they are carriers of history, culture, and the lives of people in the past. There are many things in it, but at the same time, how to preserve it, how to face tourism and modern development, the challenge is really not small. So what does this represent for us?
I think for you to understand the stories and context behind these, the next time you go to Tamsui, the feeling will definitely be very different. Maybe it's not just to see the scenery, take a row of photos, and eat some AG fishball soup. Rather, hey, when you see a corner or a building, you will think about what happened there before, and you will feel that period of history that is still flowing. This actually points out a very core problem.
What problem?
For a place like Tamsui with so many historical memories, how can we preserve its unique flavor and soul, while facing, or even taking advantage of, the changes brought about by modernization and tourism? There is really no standard answer.
Well, it is really difficult. Finally, we leave you with a point to think about. The information mentioned a Japanese philosopher named Uchimura Kenzo, who had a concept called original scenery.
Original scenery.
It means that the scenes a person saw and experienced when he was a child will deeply affect him for the rest of his life. So you think that Tamsui is constantly changing now? Every decision we make, whether it is to protect this, demolish that, or build something new, is actually shaping their original scenery for the next generation.
Yes, that's right.
If these monuments remain or disappear, how will it affect everyone's common memory of Tamsui in the future, and their sense of identity with this place? This is a question we can think about next time we take a walk along the Tamsui River.